I don't think I'm comfortable in being depressed. I think it's my anxiety level has just increased even more. Now I'm deeper into my depression than I was before because I've tried and this hasn't happened for me. So now it becomes um, I don't see myself pulling. I don't see how I'm gonna pull myself out of this. I can't pull myself out of it. And then the more you start thinking negatively, the more you start believing it. And it's not comfort. It's a sickness. It's a sickness. You look at somebody, they categorize, alcoholism and drug addiction as a disease. And it's because, you know, you feel like you can get yourself out of it, but all it takes is one extra drink. You go to rehab, and I could be sober for 2 whole years and have that one drink
and put you right back
down to where you ended at. And it's the same thing with mental health. It's like I can go out and get help and get those tools, and then all I need is one setback. And a lot of people don't understand triggers and how it works for people, but a trigger is pretty much just something that can set you off. And it could be anything, but it's specific to you. Like your trigger may not be my trigger. At the time when I was in that car accident, my trigger was getting into a car. Like even now to this day, I still have anxiety when I'm in a car. I have to always be in control because every time I was in a few car accidents, but I was never the driver. I was always a passenger. So
now you feel like you always need to drive?
I always need to drive. I don't care where we going, what we doing. I need to drive because I don't trust you as a driver. And a trigger for me is anybody that's speeding or, I just can't. Like even when I sit in the front seat, I'm looking out the side of the window. I have to have 100% trust in you. And it's not with everybody. But it's definitely with certain people, and it's definitely with new people. Uber is hard for me. Lyft is hard for me. The best thing for those is I'm sitting in the back seat and I can just put my head down and let you go.
And not see.
But if I'm in that passenger seat, my anxiety goes through the roof.
Now, I remember I went bike riding as an adult. Excuse me. But when I was a child, I almost got hit by a car riding the bike. So I was down by the drive. And you go across East Falls Bridge. There's no barrier.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Excuse me, y'all. There's no barrier there.
Right.
I got off the bike and I started walking the bike. Now, of course, I knew this, but I want to try to push past it.
Right.
To try to get past this fear. Yes, this happened, but I don't want to stay stuck in this place. I want to be able to ride a bike again.
Right.
Like I did.
Right.
But that was so hard for me. Like my nerves was just like, oh my God. And if just to keep my balance.
Yeah. Because even though we're talking mental, it shows itself physically. The brain is freaking amazing. You literally can't do anything without your brain. Your brain tells your body when to blink, when to breathe, when to, make your heart to pump. When they be like, people is in a vegetative state, what does that mean? That means the brain is shutting down and they're keeping somebody. Like, it is literally telling the body can't do anything. When people go into a coma is just basically telling your brain shut down and put you to sleep because it needs rest to heal. So, imagine your brain while you're awake malfunctioning. This is mental illness. It is basically certain parts of your brain is not functioning the way it would normally do with somebody else. When I used to work at the center, we had patients who had frontal lobe damage. And if that didn't show me how important the brain is, that was the one that did. Me and you could be sitting here, be, regular talking, and then if something happened to my frontal lobe, I am a totally different person. I'm aggressive, I'm angry, I'm violent. I could probably kill you.
All because of trauma to the frontal lobe.
Trauma to the frontal lobe. I'm not rational. My moral compass is gone. Because I don't care It's all about me. It's about my aggression. And you're not talking me out of how I feel or what it is or why I'm doing what you can't get across to me. But I'm a totally different person. My brain is still functioning. I can still read, I can still write, I can still do, come and go as I please. But I'm triggered. To function. Yeah, I can function and do whatever. But I am triggered super quickly. And it's over the most mundane things. I didn't eat. If I decided I wanted to eat every day at 6 o'clock and it's 6:01 and I didn't eat, I could attack you. When I saw that, that made me think, like, what does the brain, like, what all the things that the brain can do, and what does it not allow you to do? And mental wellness is so, so, so important because it does control all that stuff. So when we're talking about people with mental illness, we're literally talking about they're having a malfunction, like one of those synapses is not functioning the way it should.
But who determines what is the balance of the mind? Like, who says this is the perfect mind? That's just,
we're not talking perfect.
I'm even taking it to concussions. Did you ever see the movie Concussion?
I didn't see that.
All right. The movie Concussion, y'all, was based upon football players and how the impact of getting hit and how the pressure, the brain is just moving around, right? So ultimately, they were having issues, and they would kill themselves, kill people, go through rages, the frontal lobe.
Right.
Okay? Now, knowing that, even to this day, football is still the most dominant money-making sport out here, regardless of what can come from it.
Right.
Have they recreated a helmet to say truly that it can secure your head, your brain, to secure the impact of the hitting? They went through, you can only hit a certain way.
Right.
Before it was, I can hit you with my head, then they stopped it.
Right.
Then they said you could hit this way. So many different ways and rules and things that they tried to stop. But is it really happening? Is it still not? Is it really effective in a sense? Because are we meant for our brains to take such impacts?
No, but you can get a concussion anyway, in any kind of way. I can walk, I can trip over the carpet right now and hit my head, and I've got a concussion. Something fall from the ceiling and hit me right now.
Mental health, as serious as it is, but football isn't ever going to go anywhere. It's too much money to be made.
That's what I say. You're talking about You're talking about an industry where you're talking money now.
Exactly. But you're willing to sacrifice someone's mental health just for the sake of money.
Well, you're saying it as if these people don't have a say in whether they want to play this sport or not. You're talking about a sport. If that's the case, but it's like every sport, there's some kid with a concussion. I don't care what sport it is. I don't care what sport it is. As much as I love football and everything about that, and because of how aggressive football is, but nobody's saying this about hockey, and it's the same kind of concept, But every sport that you play, you can't not play a sport, and the possibility of having a concussion is there. The problem with it is, when you're talking about the brain, it's not studied enough. They're studying it now, and there's a lot of neurologists out there to tell you, like, these are, this is how the brain functions, this is how the brain works, and all these, the bruising of the brain. But there's nothing besides having everybody walk around with a helmet on that's going to prevent that from happening to you, which is unrealistic, And then when you get into these sports, there's a risk and reward. The risk is this could happen. The risk is you may never get hit in your head and get hit in your back and you get spinal cord injury. It's there's risk and rewards, pros and cons to pretty much everything. And then, it's really up to the people whether or not I want my child to play this sport, or as a man or a woman, I want as a grown adult, do I want to play this sport?
Or really start to say, hold up, I'm starting to sense something ain't right. And there were a lot of people in the movie, and it was based on a true story, Concussion, that realized, like, hold up, something ain't right. And they were trying to get help. They were going to listen.
Yeah.
I need help. I need help. I need help. They were committing suicide because their mind was not resting. It was continuously going. They were having thoughts. They just, oh my God, like it was too much going on. And they just wanted their brain to shut up.
Right.
So they ended up taking their life.
Right.
I mean, that's deep.
It is, but
they're
unfortunately,
seeking help.
Yeah, they're seeking
noticing something
after
is wrong
the
with
fact,
them.
after they retired, or after they were.
Yes, because they didn't realize
that at the time that you're playing, like at the time that you played, like with sport, like we can go into the whole sports thing. With sports, because I played sports all my life. With sports, you play through the injuries, you play through the hurt, you play through the pain, you play through, and if they're paying you millions of dollars to play, you're going to play
You're going to deal with
everything. You know, and this is what you do. Unfortunately for these people, it wasn't until like the bad thing about the football was football. If you look at the time, the life you have in football, it's very short compared to everybody else. Any other sport, you got people that can be in basketball for 20 years, 10 years, 20 years. Other sports for like way longer. The shelf life for a football player is 3 to 6 years tops. So you're talking about straight from college, and you're retiring at like 30. So you're talking about like 24 to 30, and that's if you get no injury and you have a long, like I think the longest football player played for like 12 years or something like that. It's just an unfortunate thing, but again, risk reward. You have a short time span in which you can play this sport, and you're going to play it at the highest caliber that you possibly can. And then from that, the possibility of injury is extremely high. So if you get injured, and that's anything from a torn Achilles to an ACL, MCL break, or whatever, arm broke, whatever the case may, any of those career-ending injuries, and we've all seen them. We all know what they are when we watch this sport. You can be in there for a year, 2 years, not even. You might not even make it out of camp. Like football is like one of those sports where the injuries for them are extreme. You're going to have more football players than any other sport that's going to have a broken bone, like some type of broken bone, some type of contusion, some type of torn ligament. And they've probably been having that since they were kids. And definitely if you come from a football state like down south, like Texas, or Alabama, where high school football and all that stuff is like the epitome of football. That's unfortunate. So when you get into the concussion of it, yeah, there's probably a lot of them who's going to have concussions, who have concussions to this day, that's going to have it. But the mental health problems of those people probably already existed. And then having a concussion on top of it. I'm not defending these people at all. All I'm saying is this is a sport that nobody has to play. And they're playing, and you know the risk. And in this day and age, you already know the risk. Once you start playing football, you instantly know the risk. Injury is the number one for every sport. The minute you get injured, you see your career go down the drain. Because that's your first process. That's the first thought process. And then with that being said, then depression and anxiety and all those other things get tacked onto that. Now add a concussion on top of that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants damage to their brain. But when you talk about sports, I mean, that could be a whole nother segment, because that risk reward, the reward is so high.
It is.
It's so high.
The chances are what? The percentage compared to, okay, I go out here, I get severely injured compared to I get no injury or minor injury that won't affect me for life per se.
Right.
So what are the odds?
What's the odds?
So they're going to take and say, all right, even though that happened to such and such, that don't mean it's my story.
Exactly. And it don't
So
have to
I'm not going to act like it's my story.
Right.
I'm going to play my game
Right.
and make my money, do what I need to
Right.
do so I can get out
Right.
and live my life.
Right.
And unfortunately, in that process, some things do go wrong.
Right.
And then your life is extremely altered.
Right, because even after you have a concussion, so there's protocols in place for concussion. There's concussion protocols for every sport now. You know, the minute somebody falls, they check for the concussion. If you know, if they think there could be a problem, they send them off for the court, send them in the back. They get a more in-depth analysis. You know, whether they come back or they don't come back. They're putting things in place, and that's granted. But just because you got a concussion doesn't necessarily mean your career is over. That just means you're going to be out for a while until we can get this under control. And once you're able to, you know, pass our concussion protocols and our testing, and you can function at the level that you were, or even 80% of the function that you were, you can be out. You can be back out there. You know, there'll be precautions. You know, your helmet might be different. Your helmet might be a little bit different. You may not play as long or whatever, but you're going back out there and you're going to play. Like there's people you can get concussion, like, and then there's levels of the concussions, you know, and all that means is you're not going to be able to do this for a certain amount of time, but eventually you're going to be able to get back to it. So it's not a life, like a lot of concussions aren't life ending. The problem with the retirees were, you know, damage was already done.
Correct.
Like whatever like you had people that were having 4 and 5 and 6 concussions and probably was only diagnosed with 1, but they probably throughout their life had 10 concussions. And now as adults, when they're finally relaxed and they stop doing what they've been doing every day, then all the real now you're starting to see the effects of those concussions.
All right, y'all. On that note, we're going to take a break. You're listening to Keeping It Real with Shell, www.thedoorradio.com, every Tuesday, 2nd and 4th of the month from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Be right back. Y'all really like Empire, don't y'all? That first season was the best music they had. I swear, like every song on Empire that first season was the bomb. The whole album was like, and then I ain't feeling all the other songs. You say what you can the first year. It was great. So when we come back, I'm just gonna when I come back, I want to address, like, you know, mental health, the importance of it, and again, it's okay to admit it. It's okay to go get help for it. It's nothing to be ashamed about. And that, I want to talk about how every job, certain jobs don't offer it to get help. Please go to your human resources department and find out what is available at your employer. And then if you don't get to your employer sponsor, or if you're not working, but you definitely need your access. There are clinics out there, there are clinics, and local clinics that you definitely assess. That's how you help. Okay, so I don't say that part. About the point about about that. Now, and my shows, thank you for listening to www. So we can play music.
It's weird, like, cause you have the YouTube live or whatever, but then that's also, so it's like, it feels like you should still be
Like talking about the show, but you know, it's kind of like, all right, well, they can't hear what I'm saying, but then I'm gonna start talking to these people, and they listen out to what I'm saying.
you gotta figure out how.
I gotta figure out how smooth this is, or
do you have to have music? Can you just talk throughout the whole thing?
I mean, you can talk for 2 hours straight.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, you can. But you know, talking for 2 hours straight, you gonna want to take a little for a minute.
I get that, but
So,
I get that.
that's why we have music like set in the queue and stuff. But yeah, I gotta work on how to figure that out. And then if you wanted to, like Facebook Live, people would actually comment and bring questions up, and you could actually respond to some of the things they said. Invite them into the show by phone in. But with YouTube, there's no you know, I can't invite people in. Maybe I can, and I just don't know how. I don't know, like down here, if they say something, like maybe I can type in, like give me a call, give us a call, put the number in.
Yeah, like you
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more back thinking, just thinking ahead. World has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much change, more opportunity.
I don't want to do it now. It's got 4 minutes left.
Because I just want to see.
You can experiment with your with people. Right. They gonna call it. Right.
Listen, y'all, if you can't get a call in 2 seconds,
You got 2 seconds to go.
I don't even know who that going to. That's the thing, like. We got change, yeah, just you and me. Downstairs, the old people wear. Catch all my hair. They don't have so very long. For they're just days. Want to make them happy. For they're just You're listening to Keeping It Real with Shell, www.sadorradio.com. Our topic tonight was mental health. Initially, it was mental illness, but again, illness seemed to be so judgmental, so attacking, so we decided to change it to the importance of mental health. And to our listeners tonight, I do want to stress that it is okay. We've all been through it. We will continue to go through it. And it's okay to admit that you need help. And it's okay to seek help. If you are working for corporate America, if you go to your human resources, there is usually someone affiliated within the company that you can call and get help. and it's covered under your insurance based upon what insurance they offer. Sometimes there is a copay, sometimes there's not, but at a minimum, they do give some visits that are free. And then once you go over that amount of visits, you now have to pay possibly on your own. But help is out there. We can live a normalcy in our lives and still be able to enjoy life instead of just waking up every day in a routine and not enjoying life. Mal, you want to share some other options as well?
Yeah, so without mental health, we're not healthy. And if you can't afford um, help, there are ways to contact your local health agency, your local mental health clinics, and they'll give you resources and what you can do to find free sites. There is you can contact your local government, depending on where you're located, to see if you qualify for certain services. There is help out there, whether you have money or you don't have money. Unfortunately, the stigma is, only rich people can afford health services, and that's not true at all. It's available. We just have to be willing to look for it and get it. If you go to, there's an actual information contact called the National Treatment Referral Helpline, and that number is 1-800-662-HELP. And they can help you find some assistance. And then there's an online information source called findtreatment.samhsa.gov, and they can also help you locate any type of help for, I think I'm saying this wrong, mental health. So there are options out there for you, regardless of, your wealth or non-wealth or monetary problem.
Exactly. Help is out there, y'all.
Help is out there. Just ask. You'd be so surprised at how many people can find, are willing to help you. A lot of times, yeah, a lot of times you just have to ask, because a lot of people don't want to put that information out there.
Okay. Thank y'all for listening tonight. I hope this was helpful. If we can't reach all, at least we could maybe reach one person to give them some hope. Again, you're listening to Keeping It Real with Shell, www.Sudor Radio. Next 2 weeks, the fourth Tuesday of the month, our topic will be why do people cheat? Again, have a good night.
I feel like I'm closing and I'm still on live.
Thank you. Thank you, y'all. It'll get better, I promise.
I hope so, because this is rough.
Yeah, this is low rough.
This is rough. These amateurs.
But one day we're going to get it together. We're going to be like, y'all going to have this old footage and be like, yo, you see how far she done came. But thank y'all again for tuning in. Topic on the fourth Tuesday will be, why do people cheat? Have a great night.